Hello students, my name is Nalita and I'm a Cambridge A-level student in Taylor's studying economics.
Hi, my name is Roshan and I'm also a Cambridge A-level student in Taylor's studying economics.
Today, we'll explore how the economy may be restored after the damage caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Since March of 2020, most countries in the world have implemented varying types of lockdown that keeps people at home with the aim of preventing any further spread of the virus. This forces the working population to either work from home or not work at all. For some people, this situation is still manageable, especially with government transfer payments. This is when workers are paid a portion of their incomes to keep them at home. For example, the UK is implementing a furlough scheme where the government will pay up to 80% of an employee's salary should they be unable to work during this crisis. However, the British government cannot keep this up forever, and the costs of this scheme is estimated to reach more than £42 billion to pay for more than 8.7 million furloughed workers. But for others who do not qualify for schemes like this, it is truly damaging to their incomes. Keeping everyone indoors drastically cuts down consumer spending in the economy. Increasing number of people are losing their jobs now, so everyone's reaction is to save their money in the bank as a precautionary measure should their incomes remain uncertain in the future. Saving rates in the US of people with medium to high incomes are higher than they've ever been in the last 40 years, and this is detrimental to the economy. They're not saving because of high interest rates, which could guarantee high returns on their savings, but because of the uncertainty of whether there could be a second wave of infections, how the virus may react to temperature changes, or whether the virus could mutate. For example, in the US, the central bank has declared a 0% interest rate on their commercial banks. This should have deterred consumers from saving in the banks to instead spend their money in the economy, but saving rates remain as high as ever.
So to revive the economy to its position before the outbreak, governments would have to implement fiscal monetary policies to boost the confidence of businesses and consumers in the economy. These solutions include increasing government spending into the economy, just as the British government has done with their furlough schemes. The Malaysian government has also increased their spending by paying 2% of electricity tariff for commercial, industrial, agricultural, and domestic users from April to September, and is also giving handouts of 600 ringgit per month to workers earning below 4,000 ringgit monthly and have received no pay notices from their employers since March. Large public sector organizations that are anchored within the communities, such as councils, colleges, or hospitals, source their food from local producers to prevent small businesses from closing down. A country's exchange rate could be allowed to float so that it may depreciate. During times of crisis such as these, consumer spending will decline, and thus decreasing the demand for a country's currency. This will cause their currency to depreciate and in turn make their exports cheaper and more price competitive. Demand for their exports will rise, and so will their export revenue, causing the inflow of money into the country to surpass the outflow of money spent on imports. By having a floating exchange rate rather than a fixed one is exactly how Australia and Canada escaped the 2008 recession.
Despite the injections into the economy by the government, the public's health must be taken into consideration. Many people are not taking the spread of the virus seriously, such as citizens of Florida and Georgia in the US who are disregarding the lockdown by frequently going outside. Some countries may have had failed public health responses, with the number of people being tested per million to be less than adequate. Taking Indonesia as an example, it has a total population of 273.5 million with only 65 tests available per million. Public health must not be placed as a second priority after reviving the economy, or there may be a second wave and our economies cannot bear the brunt of it. Experts say that it may take more than a year to develop the vaccine, so governments must ensure that funds are enough to last for that long before economic activity can return to normal. My economics teacher at Taylor's has helped me to understand economic terms and made me realize that it isn't such a daunting subject after all. That is quite a relief to me, as I did not learn economics in IGCSE, nor did I have any prior exposure to it before college. It is a constant learning process, and my lecturer will always explain concepts patiently and thoroughly. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in Taylor soon.